Hi guys, it's Amber. So today's video is going to be an anti-haul. I know it's been a really long time since I've done one, so some of these releases are a tiny bit old, but I still wanted to kind of go over them because there's still things that are being sold, things that you still might be seeing reviews and tutorials on that you might be tempted to buy, and I'm just going to give my thoughts on why I'm not buying them. And I'm going to search my stash and I'm going to show you some of the palettes that I already own that I'm going to use instead to give myself a similar look. So if I see a tutorial that I totally love and I'm like, oh my gosh, I need that palette, I'm going to take this palette instead or take a combination of palettes and be able to recreate those looks at home and not have to spend the extra cash on getting the new product for whatever reason. All right, so let's start off first with the ABH Sultry palette. I feel like I'm not alone in saying that this was a very underwhelming palette release. Now, does a moderately neutral cool tone palette have a place in the beauty industry? Of course it does. But I mean, when you break it down, this palette is very neutral. It's perfect for someone who loves neutrals, but really it has a pop of peach and that is about it. And it's not something that really draws me in. It's not something I was like, oh, I've got to have this. Now, if you're someone who loves cool tones or doesn't have a lot of palettes and you love the ABH formula, then by all means, this could be a great choice. But I was just like, there's nothing about this that I feel like is something so revolutionary that I'm like, I have to have this palette. So I started thinking about what cool tone palettes I already own. I was brought to Naked 2, the nice classic. I mean, you look at this, it has those kind of cool tone browns. If this was in the square pans instead of rectangle and we were holding them side by side, I think you'd be able to see a lot more how similar they really can be, except for the pop of peach. So you think, okay, grab a peach single, grab a peach from another palette, throw that in there, you're good to go. So I feel like this is a palette that is getting older. It's something I need to get more use out of. So, I mean, if you're getting rid of your Naked 2 and you want something to replace it, maybe that's a good choice. But for me, I really don't find myself being drawn to use that many cool tones. So I'm going to take a pass on the Sultry palette. Next is the Urban Decay Cherry. Now, this is a palette that interests me as far as the color story. I really like the purpley, pink, burgundy tones. I think it's more my style than Naked Heat. I feel like there's a little bit more diversity. I feel like Naked Heat was almost too much of the same. So I do like the colors. I like the mix of shimmers and mattes. And it's probably something that I would purchase if I was not on a no-buy and actually needed makeup. But I am on a no-buy and I don't need more makeup. So I'm not going to purchase it. So I'm kind of thinking, where can I go with this? So of course, if you're wanting to take this palette traveling or something, this would be the best way to get all these colors, but I don't really go anywhere. So for me, it's okay to dabble in a couple different palettes. For some people, they want all-inclusive. I totally understand. But I'm going to be diving into first my Bad Habit palette from Athena. This is a Huda Beauty dupe per se. I was really loving this glitter going on here and these brown and these purpley tones and warms and browns over here. And then I thought, you know, if there's anything missing in that lighter shimmery category, I've pretty much got it here in the Jaclyn Hill Morphe palette. So I felt like between the two, I definitely could recreate some looks from the Cherry palette without any problems. All right, next, Colorpop is dropping brand new pressed highlighters, and I just feel like it's a little bit too late. I feel like if these would have come out 2 years ago, everyone would have been mad wild about them. But like, I already got so many highlighters between now and then that I'm like, even for $7, like a great price point for sure. But even at $7, like I just really don't need any more highlighters. They're pretty tones. You've got the nice light vanilla and the champagne tones, but it's like, again, nothing new, nothing that's revolutionary. And I just feel like they were a little late on this and kind of missed that huge peak of highlighters. And so it's just kind of a total pass for me. All right, next, let's talk about the Too Faced Gingerbread palette. If you have not watched Jen from Jen Loves Reviews review on this palette, you need to. She basically breaks it all down, talks about how there's less grams per pan and overall in the product versus other palettes that Too Faced has made. I just think it was a very insightful review. I really enjoyed it. And in that review, she specifically names Modern Renaissance and talks about some of the dupes that are in the palette. And when she started swatching them, I was just like, yeah, those are some of the main colors I'd be interested in. And wait, I already own them. So that made it super easy for me because I was like, well, you basically already told me what I have, and this is a great palette. Like I've said a million times in my anti-hauls, I need to get more use out of the palettes that I already have, so anytime I can find a reason to not buy something is a total win. I think it's a fun idea, you know, their whole gingerbread theme, but again, I think they're trying to create that madness like the peach palette was, where it was like sold out, everyone wanted it, and blah, blah, blah. But I just don't know that it's going to happen for this one. I just don't see as many people talking about it. And honestly, until her review popped up, I had no idea that there was even a gingerbread palette being released. Maybe I've been hiding under a rock, but I was like, oh, a gingerbread palette. And then I watched it and I was like, pass. So that's one that I could definitely save my money on. So Lorac is foregoing their normal Mega Pro palette releases that they've been doing the last couple of years. And they are doing a Shine Bright Pro palette, which is much more colorful. And it's a very beautiful palette. I feel like it's something that I am drawn to. It's something if I saw in the store, I'd be like, ooh, I want that. So I feel like it's up my alley. It's something that I would probably purchase if I had money to spend and was going through Sephora, Ulta, and looking at palettes. But when I started looking at it, I again thought of Smashbox Wonder Vision. That is still one of my favorite palettes. It's so buttery and creamy. It's an older holiday palette. I use this one all the time to compare because it just has all the color stories. It has the greens, it has the purples, it has some neutrals up here, some golds, it has, you know, the face products on the side, which I don't use those as much. But then I'm like, okay, so basically I need a yellow gold, and I'm pretty sure that, you know, I can go into one of these and find that yellow gold color, something even more yellow gold I'm sure I have lying around here somewhere, that I could mix in and get basically the same results. It's just funny how the similar colors and different packaging, different brands, you know, the formula is going to be a little differently. So there's lots of reasons, you know, why we buy so many different palettes. But at the end of the day, it's like no one's going to be able to tell that this was cranberry and this is Merlot. It's like such a trivial difference. And yes, when swatched on the arm, you're going to be like, oh, these are not dupes. They're totally different. I get that. I'm just saying, like, is it going to bring you that much more satisfaction when you put that on your eye to have it be that different of a shade? Is it going to make a huge difference? And for me, it just doesn't. All right, so let's talk about the e.l.f. New Classics palette. I like the price point. It's $14. Getting a little up there for e.l.f., but still reasonable for a bigger palette. I like that I don't feel like every color is the same. The problem I have with some of the older Morphe palettes, some of these e.l.f. palettes that have been done in the past, is that it's literally like 5 shades of brown. Some of the Makeup Revolution ones are this way too. You get so many colors that are like slight variations of each other that it's like, who cares if there's 50 shades if they're all basically the same thing? And I feel like they did finally change that up a little, and I look at this palette, I'm like, okay, we have some distinct shades here. We have some obvious differences from one pan to the next, and I don't feel like there's 50 shades of brown. So I've talked in my channel a little bit before, and this is not a phrase that I've coined in any way, but I've heard many YouTubers talk about the pop effect, where palettes are basically neutral, but they have a couple colors that give it the pop effect that make you feel like, oh, it's something different, when really it's only like 1 or 2 colors that are actually different. Well, this palette comparison is going to be the opposite effect. So this palette right here, the Too Faced Chocolate Bar Bonbons, has the pop effect where it's got these pinks here and this purple. Okay, and we'll cover up the green. So it's got a few pops there. So if you take this palette and you look at the truffle shade, you look at these cooler browns, especially over here on this corner, and you compare it to the e.l.f. palette, and I'm like, wow, it kind of has a lot of those same cool tones. But when I look at this palette, I would never think that they're similar because I see green and hot pink. And so that draws my eye away, and I think, oh, those aren't the same at all. But they really, if you take out those colors, you're like, they kind of are the same, especially these cooler shades right here on the edge. So I don't know how the formula is. I feel like e.l.f. has been really hit or miss with their pressed shadows. They have a few products that I dearly love, but I haven't really loved a lot of their eyeshadow palettes recently. Honestly, they've been kind of fails for me. So maybe someone will review it, maybe they won't, maybe e.l.f.'s kind of had its moment and passed. I don't really know, but it's something I'm going to pass on. Okay, so this one has been out for a little while. This is the Natasha Nonna Gold palette. This is a Pop Effect palette to a T. It has a wide variety of gold shades, which is beautiful. A lot of people love Natasha Nonna. They say the formula is fabulous. I'm not debating that at all. I haven't tried it, so I can't give my opinion there. Yes, it has a lot of different shades in it, but when I looked at it, I was like, huh, that reminds me of the general gist of this Olimar palette. Obviously, this has way fewer shades, but you get those blue shades and a little bit of the brown shade and mix it with the 99 other palettes I have that have shades of brown and gold. I'm just right there. You know, I feel like, okay, I got that blue covered, because most of the time it's like, you want that blue. And I'm like, I got this in a BoxyCharm and I really like this. This has been one of my most favorite palettes that I've been reaching for recently, because it is so flippin' pigmented. It's just like, it's almost so pigmented I have to be careful with it. And it's weird because it's like totally kicking trash of like my Too Faced palette, because you look at this, like that Earl Grey color, and it just seems kind of blah compared to that. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Anyway, the point of it is for the price point especially, and not being someone who is a fan of the formula, because I haven't tried it, but it's not something that I like crave to have. It's a pass for me, so I'm good to save my money there. All right, this next palette is the Huda Beauty Nude palette. Now this palette is very beautiful. It has those chunky glitters that, again, in the other palette that she was very famous for. And this one is a little different, where it's got the warm and cool, but it is still predominantly a neutral palette. So when I thought, what do I have already that has similar colors? This doesn't have the chunky glitters, but I feel like this palette does a good job of having cool tones, warm tones, and these shimmers are still pretty intense. Like, I really like these shimmers. I feel like they're good. So if I had this and added in some loose glitter, which honestly, I don't always love to use that chunky of a glitter anyway, I'm good using this. I love this palette. It's one of my favorite palettes. So thank you for reminding me that I have this so I can get some use out of it. And last but not least, the Ofra Minis. So I think this is cute. I like when companies bring out smaller versions of their products, because when you have so much, it makes it so hard to get through a product that, unless you're someone who buys one product and uses it completely out, which, yeah, there are people that do that, especially in panning, but usually we have more products that we don't use up than products that we actually do. But I have some of these little trios, like this one here. I mean, these colors aren't going to be the same. It's got matte. This one's a shimmer. But I mean, you can tell that this is something that's been hardly touched. And I just don't grab for those types of products enough. And I have plenty of blush and highlight and bronzer. Maybe I'm just feeling a little negative Nancy, but it's just like, okay, yeah, that's fine, but I don't need it. It doesn't strike me in any way. I'm not like, oh man, I've got to have this. Now, if there were certain products that you already wanted to try from Ofra and they put it in a set, that's a great way to get a big bang for your buck, but I'm just kind of like, I'm good. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this anti-haul. Let me know what products down below are you skipping out on this holiday season. I'll probably be doing another round of holiday palettes, because heaven knows this is one of the most popular times of the year. So don't worry, we will be having another anti-haul again, most likely before the end of the year. Thank you guys so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. I haven't really said that in a long time, but yeah, subscribe if you want to, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!